I feel that in these past 5 to 6 years, I've been mostly understanding and reviving in a way my awareness of my spirit. So simply said, it feels like in these 5 to 6 years I've been mostly in my spirit, not so much in my soul. Of course there was the soul there, even without me wanting. And I think the soul was even much more prevalent than I have even realized. The idea is that in my case, I feel that my soul felt extremely powerful, so powerful that it overshadowed the spirit. This is why I think I had to make a conscious practice to re-establish the balance, to bring back the spirit online. Although I think that from a different perspective, I think the spirit was always here, but because I remember since I was a child, there were some instances in which I can definitely ascribe them to the spirit. But I think the soul started to take over since since puberty mostly, since the beginning of adolescence. I think the soul started to take over. But until that age, I think it was mostly spirit, and then the soul took over, and then I had to remember in a way the spirit again after the 28 years of age. But yeah, mostly I think after 21, but more prevalent, yeah, after 28, when really started to become more serious. So when I felt the most disconnected from spirit, it was between the age of 12 and 20. Like those 8 years of adolescence, I felt the most disconnected from spirit. I was mostly in my soul then. And the soul was extremely powerful. Like when I was in my soul, I felt like I had so much power as a soul. But something in me wasn't happy with that. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to have soul power. It felt, it was something in me that made me, like unconsciously, it's like something in me would turn my tables upside down. When I would go too much into my soul, it wouldn't let me. It would turn my tables upside down and everything would start appear upside down. So I had to look into what was wrong. It was missing the spirit, because now I understand that you have to have both sides. You have to have the spirit and the soul in a balanced way. Because if you only have the soul but no spirit active, then you only have the creative, powerful energy, but with no conscious direction to it. It's like this chaotic, feminine, powerful, creative energy, the energy of the unconscious, the energy of the right side of the brain. But if you don't have the energy of spirit added to this, which spirit comes with the energy of intent, direction, purpose, then this energy of the soul, even though extremely powerful, can take up chaotic outcomes, can become chaotic. So you have to have the soul and the spirit together in order to have a balanced, directed force. You have to have a force, but it has to be directed by something higher, by a higher purpose, by a higher intent. You have to have a clear intent of what you're doing with that power. If you just have raw power, then it can just unleash itself chaotically. If it's only raw power, but without any higher intent, any higher purpose to it, then it just goes on in a way, can go on extremely chaotic. This is the raw feminine energy. When the feminine energy is not directed by the masculine energy, then that energy can become highly chaotic and destructive. Destructive in a bad way, not in a healthy way. Because there is healthy destruction and then there is unhealthy destruction. But the feminine energy, when it is not balanced by a healthy masculine energy, can become unhealthy destructive. Too much power, when it is not directed or used with a purpose, with an intent, can just create chaos. So the soul energy has to be balanced with the spirit awareness. Spirit comes with awareness, it comes with knowing. It's the I know. This is what it is. It's the blueprint, the knowledge, the intent, the purpose. It comes with directional power. Spirit means direction, purpose, intent, order. And the feminine comes with power, manifestation, matter, energy, the power to be. That's the feminine, it's the power to be. So the soul holds the power and the spirit holds the knowledge. And you have to have both of them together to have a balanced, intentful power. That's when power is at its most refined manifestation. It's when it is balanced by knowledge, when it is balanced by clear intent, by a clear understanding, by a clear purpose. When power serves purpose, that's when it becomes brilliance. But when power serves itself without a purpose, then it can become destructive, chaotic, consuming, and destroying itself eventually. And that's what the feminine energy does, by the way. When there is no masculine energy to balance it, it destroys itself eventually, thinking it is creating, but it is actually ending up in destroying itself. Because it's a power without a purpose. And the power without a purpose has no final end, final purpose, final meaning for its manifestation. It's just manifestation for the sake of manifestation. Creation for the sake of creation, without a higher intent or purpose to it. And creation for the sake of creation has to eventually come to end, to its own end. Because creation as a higher process in the dynamics of life is just a tool to serve the understanding of oneself. So creation is always there to serve a purpose. It is a tool that has been invented, let's say, to be able to meet a certain purpose. The purpose was to obtain gnosis or understanding about oneself. So you create things in order to observe things and then to drive the gnosis out of the experiences. So you become enriched. The spirit enriches itself with the gnosis it has acquired through the experiences that the soul has created. So the soul was always created to serve spirit. This is the nature of things. The feminine is created to serve the masculine, but in a true way. What we see here in humanity at this moment, where the females have been almost treated like slaves, in a way, this is an unhealthy version. So the female, the true female and masculine couple or partnership, because I rather see them as partners rather than couple, uh, they have a different dynamic. The feminine is there to serve the masculine, but in a different way. Actually, in this true dynamic, the feminine is the one who has the power, and the masculine is the one who has no power. So she is the one who actually holds their, let's say, fate or destiny in her hand. She holds the power to what both of them may come, what may come of both of them. But she is there to use this power to serve the higher good, let's say the higher purpose, the higher intent. If she only uses this power to serve herself and create for the sake of creating, then that serves no power, and then is when the actual usefulness of creation starts breaking down. So in my case, 6 or 7 or even 8, 9 years ago, I started life again has created the such events in which I started to look more into the spirit again. So after looking for 5 years or 6 years intensely into the spirit, I became much more again now in my spirit side. So I was much more in my masculine spiritual side and less in my soul side. And now I think to the point in which I kind of saw myself a bit condescending towards the soul. Towards this distorted version of the soul, at least, in which the soul, the feminine energy, would just create for the sake of its own self, without following a higher purpose. So the soul without a spirit. I was a bit condescending of that type of energy. I considered it an immature feminine energy, an immature, um, destructive energy. Which had a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions, but which was ultimately selfish. So I've seen how the immature feminine energy can be extremely selfish to the point of not even realizing this. Becoming so enamored with herself and her own powers that it starts becoming herself condescending towards the masculine energy. This is the immature feminine energy, one that doesn't value the direction coming from the masculine. She feels she is enough, her power is enough, she can do anything. And this is the immature, distorted version of the feminine energy. And I felt a bit like the way this distorted feminine energy would appear in this day-to-day life, it would be a lot of emotions, beings that emanate a lot of emotions, and they are driving these chaotic lives, and they are influencing all other life around in a chaotic way, mostly selfish, mostly just like black holes. This is the unhealthy, this is the distorted, immature feminine energy. It's like a black hole. All feminine energy is dark. All feminine energy is symbolized by the dark energy. It's the energy of darkness. But the immature feminine energy would be more of a black hole, while the mature true feminine energy would be more like the womb or a soil, which is there to grow things, but in accordance with the direction of the masculine energy, or with the direction of spirit. She is there to work together with spirit. The mature, true feminine energy is always a feminine energy, which is like a child. Paradoxically, that's the thing. The mature feminine energy acts more like a child. She's so pure. She's like a child that is ready to just play. But her play is directed by the masculine. So she's there ready to just create things, just be the creator and do whatever, like create more and more stunning things that could meet the needs that the masculine directs. So she is so eager to just see herself, oh, how could I meet this need that life is having right now? What's the like most astonishing way in which this could be manifested or created? She's like the true artist, the true creative force, but creative force that becomes like a mastery, a true mastery of creative force. She becomes like an artist of creation, not only having power of creation, but creating art of that. And art is that which is has beauty, it has coherence, it has music to it. Music is coherence. You have to have coherence in order to have art, true art, I mean. While the immature feminine energy acts more like this standalone femme fatale in a way, uh, which paradoxically seems quite mature. She wants to come off as really clever and wise and mature, and I've got it all figured out. While the mature feminine energy is more like a child, as I said, because she knows her own power truly, masterfully. While the immature feminine energy not owning and not knowing her true power tries to overcompensate that lack of true understanding and true grasp over her own power by having this attitude of like bragging to herself about how powerful she is and how like taking, yeah, this is the distorted version of the feminine energy, of the immature feminine energy, when she starts feeling good in a way, when she sees the impact that she can have over the reality around. And then she starts taking joy in just observing how she can manipulate people and impact people. Now I'm talking about an energy. I'm not talking about a female body or a masculine body, because I've seen men through which this type of distorted feminine energy was highly active. So I've seen men in this position. So this is not about the physical body, the uh, biology of the physical body, if our physical body is masculine or feminine. This is an energetic force. This is an energy, the energy of the impure or the immature, I would say. The immature feminine energy is an archetypal energy. The mature feminine energy is another archetypal energy. And these energies, two types of feminine energies, can come out and become active in any type of body, being men's body or women's body. So I'm talking here about energies. So the immature feminine energy is the one that takes pleasure in seeing how she can manipulate people, how easy it is to use the powers that she has over others, thinking to herself like, oh, they don't even know that they are doing these things because I've created the necessary manipulations for them to do this. Like taking credit for manipulating people's minds, people's feelings, people's actions. Like this is the immature feminine energy is like a black hole. It's like drawing you in, pulling you, absorbing you within herself, wanting all attention, all energy to be with her, to be for her. But then you go there and you give her your attention, let's say, but then it's like when she has all the attention, that's when the true immaturity comes out, because she doesn't know what to do with that. When she's at the peak of her power, she starts destroying herself because it's too much power that she doesn't know how to do it, what to do with it next, because she doesn't yet have the full, let's say, build skeleton that could withhold that amount of power. So she just crumbles under the weight of her own power. And she becomes destructive. And I've observed this pattern with many types of beings in which this distorted or impure feminine energy was active. There were beings that wanted so much attention and they were highly capable of manipulating people. But when they had the attention of these people, they would usually just create some actions or do some behaviors or do some deeds that would become highly destructive towards themselves and towards these people. So they will lose those friendships or those connections. Or so you could see them that they work so hard to manipulate people, to draw them in their own world. And once they were having them there, they didn't know what to do with them. They didn't know what to do with them, and they were just keeping people there. Hung on to them, hanging on to them, but then they didn't know what to do next. And many times they were becoming destructive towards these people because they didn't know what to do with them. And I've observed myself having this behavior as well. Like before the age of 20, even before the age of 22, I think. something like that. I've seen this type of impure, immature feminine energy in me as well. Perhaps not to the extreme degrees, but I've seen it. It was there. Because I would, for example, being in a female body and having this immature feminine energy running, I would see myself how, for example, I would just keep three, four, five, let's say, male friends around me. And usually, like, one could explain it that they were just friends. But if I would look deep within, more than the discussions and things that I was, let's say, entertaining with them, at the root of it, it was just the attention. So I only wanted the attention. But then I didn't had an end goal for it. I had the attention, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I know this very well. And then I realized it. I think I was 21 or 22, and I realized exactly this. Oh man, like I'm keeping these guys around me only to have attention to myself. And then I remember there was the moment when this felt so ingrained. This thing of doing this felt so ingrained that I remember asking myself and even writing in the journal that I was keeping at that time, like, oh wow, like, will I ever be able in this life to change this trait? Because it felt so deeply ingrained. It felt something like I didn't even know where to start to change this. But I remember asking myself this because I knew deep within that, oh wow, this is not okay. This is not right. It's not right for me. It's not right for them. Like, I'm kidding myself, I'm fooling myself. I'm stealing my own hat, like doing this. Like, I'm not advancing in any way, I'm not doing anything truly if I'm doing this. But I realized, like, having that experience made me realize how this energy works. And it was this thing, like, trying to draw people in, getting their attention, but then didn't know what to do with it. So they were just kept there, without knowing what to do with them, with the attention itself. And many times, if the attention would be too much, let me see if I've experienced this. No, I haven't experienced it myself, but I've seen this thing in other people. Like, when the attention, when there would be beings that would, let's say, channel this same type of energy, the immature feminine energy, it would be much more active in some beings. Like, I could observe this. Uh, I could see how too much attention, after these beings got too much attention, they almost always, almost like a clock. It was almost the same pattern, and there were different people. It was almost like a clock. After they got some more and more attention, the next day or immediately close, they would just have this clash. They would either get extremely depressed, becoming destructive towards the people themselves that were giving them their attention. I've met this man that was having this almost its entire embodiment in this lifetime was channeling this immature feminine energy, but it was in the body of a man. But this man has had so much magnetism to it, and highly high capacities of manipulating people and manipulating crowds. Like, it was the kind of person that it would open its mouth, and all of a sudden you'll see how an entire room stopped doing what these people were doing, and they were all of a sudden, all of them looking at that person talking and can't having enough of hearing that person talking, and like people remaining like hypnotized. Like I've seen this purely. It's not an exaggeration. Like people becoming hypnotized by this person talking. And after having much attention in this way, I could also see the other part where this being would clash. And many times I would see that, for example, in one event, there, there was this event where this being managed to convince some people of doing some incredible like event together, and these people were all into him, like all in, ready to give this being their money, really give them, give this being a house or things, you know. And after obtaining all of these things from these people, the next day I've seen that this same person that has obtained all of those stuff created this, how do you say that in English, when they, not a fight because that's too much, but it created this situation where it started somehow like putting these people in a bad light, overtly, like saying some things that really put them in a bad light, and they made them feel so awful that in a way they kicked this being out of that reunion. So in one night, this being that was channeling and having this immature female energy really as its own persona, as its own displayment of character, highly active. In one night, it had all these beings at its fingertip, and the next day it created this event where it started mocking them and doing this thing where all these people started hating it, and they actually kicked it out of the community. But it had zero reason to do that. It had zero reason to act like that if it actually wanted to fulfill that purpose or that event that it wanted to create, because it was a certain event that it wanted to create in that community. So it was bringing those people together to create that event. So one night had all the chances, like everything, all the resources was there, the people, the resources, everything ready to follow him. The next day, it itself started mocking these people, and of course, if you start mocking the people, they started kicking, they kicked it out. So it itself brought its own destruction out of no reason whatsoever. But this is the immature feminine energy. This is what it does. It's like a black hole that sucks you in and then just doesn't know what to do with all that power, with all that energy, and it clashes under her own weight. And this is the immature feminine energy is the one who thinks or tries to act all on its own. This is what happens when there is only a highly potent soul energy, highly potent feminine energy, but without having the backup and the balance of a spirit, of a masculine, true masculine energy. This is what it happens. A feminine energy which is not balanced by a masculine energy becomes disruptive, it becomes destructive, it becomes the impure feminine energy. And similar, this is what happens when you have masculine energy which is not balanced by a female energy. You become that masculine energy becomes unbalanced, and that's when it becomes destructive. That's when it becomes totalitarian. So the masculine, the immature masculine energy, the impure masculine energy acts differently than the immature feminine energy. If the immature feminine energy is this energy of, oh, let me show you how much I can do, let me show you how powerful I am, let me show you how magnetic I am, let me show you, all of you come here and give all your attention to me, and I'll do all these things, and this bowl of chaos and so-called creativity and all these things. This is the immature female. It's like self-absorbed, uh, ball of chaos, bragging, and something along these lines. The immature male, on opposite, would be an extremely rigid energy. The immature masculine energy, when it becomes immature, so when the masculine energy stops being in sync and in balance with the equal female energy, it becomes immature, it becomes impure. And the impure or immature masculine energy becomes an energy which is highly strict and highly rigid, dogmatic. Because if in its natural version, in the true masculine energy, which is the energy of spirit, which is the energy of pure knowledge, pure understanding and wisdom. And the true masculine energy is an energy of clear, the purest vision you can ever imagine. It's like pure vision, but vision not only in seeing things, which it also has. It's like this pure sight, just seeing things exactly as they are in their truest nature. That's the pure and true masculine. It's like seeing things as they are in their truest nature. So it has pure vision in the sense of pure sight, but it also has pure vision in the sense of vision of how things need to be, like this vision, this direction, this quality of knowing how things need to be. It's like pure knowledge. This is the pure true masculine energy, is the energy or principle that brings the quality of true knowledge, 100% knowledge. It brings you the knowledge of things, knowledge that lets you see how things are in their true nature and how things need to be in their true nature. So it comes with wisdom, it comes with knowledge, it comes with knowing how things are, it comes with perfect vision, perfect plan, perfect intent, perfect direction. It gives off the direction that instructs on how life, which is the feminine energy, needs to shape herself and thus create music out of the feminine energy. It's like if it would be an orchestra, the masculine energy, the true masculine energy, would be the orchestra director, the one that stays there and informs of how the piece needs to come together to create music and not noise. While the orchestra itself, all of it, all the entire orchestra would be the feminine energy, would be the true feminine energy. So the feminine energy is this energy of manifestation. It's the one that sings the music. The music, the orchestra director does not sing. It only instructs. It only instructs, but it doesn't sing. The feminine energy is the orchestra itself. She sings, she has the instruments, she can create music or noise, depending on if there is a the orchestra director there or not. So similar, if there is only in this way, I mean, if there is, this is what the masculine energy does. It's like the orchestra director that makes sure that there is a piece of music which is correctly interpreted by that perfect orchestra. So it creates a coherent manifestation out of the powers of that orchestra. It takes all the powers of that orchestra and gives it a coherent outcome. It gives it a coherent manifestation. This is how music is created. Music means coherence. Because sound which has no coherence is noise. So the orchestra itself, the feminine energy, is the one that can produce sound, life, experiences. But all these sounds, all these life and all these experiences have to be coordinated together in order to create music, in order to create a life that has a coherence to it and not only just be life for the sake of life, experience for the sake of experience. It has to be experience for the sake of meaning and purpose and coherence and music and ultimately what we can call art. This is art. The art of life itself can only be obtained by a feminine and masculine energies working perfectly together. Now, to get back to the masculine energy. So, the masculine energy is the energy of directing, um, the energy that has the knowledge, the one who knows the musical piece that has to be played out perfectly, the one who holds the intent, the one who directs in order to create music and coherence, the one who has the vision. And the feminine energy is the one who has the power to make that vision come true. So she, the true feminine energy, comes with the power to create, to manifest that vision. But the true masculine energy is the one who is able to ignite, to create the vision itself. So this is the true masculine energy. It's the vision and purpose and intent that gives meaning to life. It's the direction that makes everything else have a meaning to it. You can contrast everything to that true direction of things, and then you can have expressed life. This masculine, true masculine energy is the one that gives the contrast, is the one that gives the beat. It creates the direction to which then everything else starts to align or not align with that direction. But in any case, the that's the first principle. It's the masculine energy is the first principle. It gives off the beat. It creates the direction, and then everything else, all the feminine energy, starts dancing in a way around that first principle, that first direction, either aligning with it and not aligning with it, That's the measure of contrast. So this is what the masculine is. It creates the direction, the measure in a musical piece. It creates the beat, it creates the sense of purpose and of meaning that ultimately give the possibility to create music and not noise. So, in its true form, the masculine energy is there purely to create music with the female. So, the masculine energy is there to create music. And as any masterful musical orchestra director knows, you can't create music without an orchestra. So the true masculine energy has complete, how can I even call that? Because it's more than reverence. It's it's a sort of awe. So the masculine energy at its real nature has a true awe towards a female. Actually, many of its directions and visions are only emitted just to see her dance in a way. So he sometimes just creates directions and visions just to see her manifesting. So actually, in all I have seen so far, the love that the true masculine has for the female, the true female is unmatchable. Like I don't even know if the female actually has the same amount of love for the masculine as the masculine has for the feminine. The masculine holds an unimaginable type of love towards the feminine. And sometimes he creates directions just for the pure sake of seeing the feminine express herself and create all those things. It's like seeing a woman dance. It's just sometimes you create the moves just to see her dance. And so the masculine energy has the vision, it creates a vision, but it couples this with an undescribable love. So the vision that it has is never isolated from the feminine. It's like the vision orchestra director has about a piece of music is never isolated from the orchestra. Like it's actually the orchestra director, it itself can be in awe to see the brilliance of how that piece of music came out, how that orchestra was able to interpret and give rise to that piece of music. It itself, in the midst of the experience, can become like in awe with the music that is produced. So, and sometimes it can create the directions only to hear that music. So, it itself is enamored with the music. This is why it creates the directions and visions in the first place. So this is the true masculine energy. It's an energy that is never segregated from the female. It's never segregated from the love of seeing the expression of the female. And this is how they are together. The female always loving to express herself and express and immediately readily available for anything that the masculine directs. The masculine always there to direct things, but in its love, its permanent love to see her. So it's like they are so well mixed together that they create this extreme synergy, the mature and true masculine energy with the mature and true feminine energy. But the immature masculine energy is segregated from the feminine energy, and thus it remains all alone. It remains with all this capacity to create the most perfect visions, the most perfect music imaginable in its own head, the most perfect directions, the most perfect piece of written music, but without ever being able to hear it. So the masculine energy, which is not balanced by a true feminine energy, it becomes an energy of rigidness, of thinking one has knows it all or has it all figured out, but without actually testing it out to see if that's even true. And it's this energy of rigidness. The immature masculine energy is becomes stiff and rigid with its visions and with its directing capacities, and becomes so stiff and attached to its visions and directions that it can't move on from those, because deep within it knows the brilliance of its own visions, but because it lacks the feminine who could actually manifest those visions, it clings to those visions and doesn't want to let go of them and can't move on. So this is an energy of stagnation. Like, the immature masculine energy is an energy that can create a lot of dogma and a lot of rigidness and thus a lot of stagnation, because it can't move on from those ideas that it produces. It can't move to a new, better, enhanced idea until it sees those ideas manifested. And if it never sees those ideas manifested because is not connected to the true feminine energy, which is able to manifest those ideas, it can't move on from those ideas and it becomes stuck in those ideas. And this is when we can see an entire age or entire civilization, or across millennia of time, perhaps sometimes, becoming stuck in some rigid thought forms, in some rigid beliefs, in some rigid ideas that is unable to move on from. And that's the immature masculine energy. It's an energy of rigidness, fixedness, stagnation, stubbornness, stubborn vision, um, this syndrome of I know it all. Um, yeah, that's it. So it's in contrast with the immature feminine energy, which is an energy of pure hedonism, pure chaos, pure like, oh, I'm so powerful, I'll do it all by myself. Like, I'm like self-absorbed. Uh, I don't need anything else because this power is the greatest. Like, I can create everything by myself. I can destroy everything by myself. I'm enough. Like, I don't need anything else. I don't need a masculine, which I don't even know it exists, because actually both of them, the immature feminine energy and the immature masculine energy, they are unaware. They are truly unaware of each other's existence. They are mentally aware, but deep within they don't feel each other. So it's like at the energy level they are segregated. They don't actually feel one another. So yeah, in contrast, the immature masculine energy is so rigid, so stiff, and the immature feminine energy is so like this, I don't know if this is a word, like buoyancy and like hedonistic and uh, chaotic and like wild and like not listening to anybody. By the way, yeah, the immature feminine energy you have almost like a like a thing with no, I'm not listening to you. No, I'm doing what I want. No, like, there are no rules, you know. No, I'm not listening because she's not connected with the masculine. He's actually coming with the vision, with the direction. So she's not taking direction from anything, from anyone. So she becomes this ball of chaos, while him, the immature masculine energy, becomes this stiff thing like an ice. Like you can't move it from wherever he got stuck on. The ideas that got stuck on its head, like you can't move it from those ideas. And it's icing itself in that tower of coldness and rigidness, and this is the dynamic of the immature masculine and the immature female. And while the mature masculine energy is an energy of true maturity, like what you would expect from a mature masculine being. Like this archetype of, for example, the wise old man, let's say, or the grandfathers of grandfather, or the grandfathers of civilization, the shamans, the really deep, wise masculine types that are really like penetrating, like deeply penetrating the nature of things. It's like they are looking at you and you could almost feel how they can see through all of your cells. Like that deep presence that could you can feel penetrating all of your cells. Like you feel completely naked, completely seen, and you are completely naked and seen in front of them because they have this vision where they really see you as you are. But exactly as a shaman, like an old shaman, or the archetype of the wise old man, or the grandfather, you can see that kindness in their eyes. It's like the true masculine energy man, like how it feels for me, it has an unimaginable type of love, an unimaginable type of kindness to their presence and to their gaze. Like when they look at you with total acceptance, love. This is how they can penetrate and see you with all of your facets, like the good and the bad and everything, and they see you for what you are with all of yourself. It's like they love you exactly like that because that's what makes you you. And they love you exactly as they said, like that's the music that you are. And the true masculine energy, being the orchestra director, just creates music for the love of music. It's there because it is in reverence and in awe towards music itself. So the true masculine energy is in reverence and in awe towards the female herself for the nature of herself in and of itself. So he feels to be enamored by the feminine energy in and of herself. This is what gives purpose to all of its intents and visions and directions. It's just to see her manifesting, just to see her expressing, because he actually feels this deep, deep, deep love towards her and towards her manifestations. It's an unimaginable love you can only feel within yourself if you go, because all of us have access to these four main archetypes: the immature masculine, the immature feminine, the mature masculine, and the mature feminine. And we can all feel all of four of them. What I've said now is just what I've been able to say right now from going into each of them. But I could say perhaps something else in another occasion, because it's always unfolding more and more. And anybody, in my opinion, can try this, and they would come up with their own visions of these four main archetypes. But when I go there, like the love the true masculine feels for the feminine is unimaginable. It's unimaginable. It feels like almost everything that he does it only to see her move, to see her dance, let's say. So this is what drives him. This is what drives all its creations, all its visions, let's say, because he doesn't create, but he creates the intents, the blueprints, the visions, the directions. But the directions are driven by love. They have love as the underground substratum. The substratum of all the directions that the male creates is pure love. And you can see this in these wise old men or in the archetype of the grandfather. You can see how it looks at the world with that eyes of love. And he is wise, but he's so loving. And in contrast to this wise old man, the mature feminine energy is like this child girl. She's so happy, she's so happy, she's so jolly, man. Like she's like the most the archetype the archetype of purity itself. Is like she's the embodiment of purity itself. Just the pure joy of being alive. But having all that interior backbone of just knowing herself and knowing life and having the interior, her power is in control. So she's like a little girl, but with all the power in control. Because in her interior, she has everything in a way in control. And because it knows her power, she can allow herself to be like that jolly, little, innocent, and really pure being, which can become this ultimate creator of that music which the masculine, the true masculine, directs. So the masculine energy, when it is in its true version, it would act like this wise old man, while the mature feminine, true feminine energy would act like this pure child girl. And in reverse, the immature masculine energy would act like this, really stiff, rigid, mostly like teenager or child energy, while the immature feminine energy would want to act like this, really mature. I have it all figured out, like this vamp in a way, femme fatale, uh, that wants to come out like really knowledgeable. She has it all figured out. She controls everything. She's manipulating and controlling everything, the universe sometimes. And she wants to come out like this mature feminine energy, although she's in its immature state. And the immature masculine energy wants to come out like this really mature being, but it is actually immature. And this is why the immature masculine energy that wants to come off like this mature being, it becomes hyper rigid and hyper stiff and hyper like intelligent and um, rigid with its ideas and sharp minded and unloving and the opposite in a way of the mature masculine energy, which is kind of like, oh wow, yeah, like he knows so much. The mature masculine energy, like really, man, it knows everything. It has all the knowledge of all the world. It's like nothing is missing. It has all the knowledge, but because it has all the knowledge, it has like it knows it all. Nothing remains than love, just pure love, and it creates the visions just out of pure love because it already knows it all. Like, it's nothing new that the music will ever teach it because it knows it all already. But it's just now because it knows it all. It's just there for the love. It's just for the love of music, nothing else. And it creates the visions and the directions and ideas just for love, love, love for the feminine, love for music itself, love for life itself. But the immature masculine energy lacks this love because it actually lacks the knowledge. The immature masculine energy doesn't have all the knowledge yet. It has yet a lot in front of it to manifest its ideas, to learn from them, to acquire the knowledge. It has a lot in front of it. And he has to partner up with the immature feminine, which doesn't want to create with him. So that's a thing there. Because how do you get her to listen to you? You know, she doesn't. The immature feminine energy just doesn't want to listen. Man. Like this, is the archetype of that type of female that wouldn't listen. Man. Like you try to tell it 100 times, and she will do almost like it's by design. She will do the. You will teach it 100 times what's the right thing to do, and she would go and do the opposite. Like she will do the mistake just for the fun of doing the mistake. You know, just for yeah, you told me, but I am doing my own thing, you know. So this is the immature partnership. This is the immature couple. With these two, I would call them a couple because they are like so bonded together, but they are rejecting one another. The feminine energy, instead of listening to the masculine, the immature feminine energy is like, no, I'll do my own things. I'm not listening to anybody. Nobody is telling me what to do. And the immature masculine being like, oh, I have all the knowledge, like all need to listen to me. It's almost like, no, the entire world needs to listen to me. I'll create rules that everybody will listen to. And he is wanting her attention, and she wants his love, but he is unaware, so he cannot give her the love because he doesn't yet have the knowledge. Love comes only after you have true full knowledge, then it only remains love because you understand it all. You understand, wow, yeah, it's love. Actually, love is at the bottom of it, and that's all. It's only love. But the immature masculine energy doesn't have that understanding, the knowledge enough to have that revelation yet. So it doesn't really have the love, and he cannot give the female the love that she needs because she only needs his love. She only needs his love. This is why she's trying to get his attention, to pull it within her and keep him there, but without knowing what to do with him once he's there. So the immature masculine only wants for her to hear him and to listen to him and to actually freaking listen to him and start manifesting and doing the things he actually knows that have to be done, but she will not listen to him. because she doesn't know herself yet. She doesn't know her own power enough. She hasn't tasted or experienced herself enough in order to understand herself to that degree, hold her power to that degree in which she understands, oh wow, like yeah, after you have so much power, man, after you know the insides out of this power of life, like everything, like all what remains is just to use it for something true, something purposeful, something meaningful, and that meaning can only come from the love that the masculine is able to harbor and put into it a vision, because this is what the masculine is doing basically, is taking love and converting it into a vision and handing that vision to the feminine, and the feminine expresses that vision and expresses that love thus. But in order to be able to express that love, you know to have you need to have a good grasp of your own power, because it's like, as I said, the feminine energy is like the orchestra. You imagine an entire orchestra at your disposal, all the instruments with all the players, and you know how each instrument has to so much subtleties to it. You can study it for 20, 30, 50 years and still not getting some of the move. So it's like a perfect refinement, even after years and years of working with a single instrument, perfect refinement of that instrument. But now imagine an orchestra has a lot of instruments and all of them have to be refined. So the feminine is the orchestra, and she has all these instruments within her that she has to test with and learn their powers over time. So until she has a good, like perfect mastery of all the instruments in their subtlest most forms, and after she has that full power over all her instruments, that's when it's like when she can create everything, anything at all, and she has the full power of creation and destruction of everything. She realizes that, well, this power only for myself, like it's nothing. Like this power has to serve a higher good. This power, this creational power, this orchestra has to serve music. It has to serve a higher purpose, and that's when she starts listening to the. She starts seeking the masculine and listening to his directions. So the immature masculine and the immature female are on a journey together, fighting in a way each other, pushing and pulling on one another, rejecting one another, trying to learn what it is, how what does it mean to truly be and experience yourself without the other. The masculine seeing himself like stiffened down and iced in a way in the perfection of its visions. It actually, the masculine energy has this power of creating all these perfect visions, man, and they are brilliant crystal diamond visions. It's like unimaginable visions the masculine energy can create. But without anybody who can manifest them, it gets bitter, it gets stiff, it gets rigid, it becomes bitter energy. It doesn't trust people and doesn't trust the female and curses everybody and refuses to create better visions and stuff of this nature. And the feminine energy, the immature feminine energy, feeling unloved because she feels segregated from the masculine. She feels so unloved that she has to give all her love to herself. Like, I'll love myself. I'll show you how good I am. Look how many things I can do. Look how many people I can attract. How much energy and attention I can attract to me. I don't need your love that you're not giving me. I will create my own love. I'll love myself. And so she starts doing that, thinking that she's the, I don't know, oh, the most powerful creature in the universe. Like nothing can touch her. And really, does have the power. But that power without no love, no true love, because she can't get that love through herself. Because she's not the generator of love. The masculine is the generator of love. So she cannot fake love for that much amount of time. And she becomes destructive. She starts killing herself, destroying herself, wanting to stop existing, wanting to destroy life. That's when life turns against itself and becomes destructive. Yeah. That's when we can see the destroyment of life itself. It's the immature feminine energy that does this. It starts destroying herself out of the lack of true love. She wants to stop existing because ultimately something within her knows that her role is there to serve love. This is the design. Love comes from the masculine and comes to the masculine takes love and converts it into a vision, and the vision is given, is emitted, and then the feminine takes the vision and manifests the vision. So the feminine is there to manifest love. But if there is no true love that is handed off, that is emitted, then she has no true love to manifest. So she only manifests hate, destruction, and this is what we can see in this world right now. This world, we are experiencing an immature, uh, a world created by an immature feminine energy. This is her creation. We are in her creation right now. I mean, she's not alone in this. It's the couple, is the immature couple. We are in their creation right now, but they are segregated from one another. And he's not here anyway, because in creation we have her, so we are inside her body right now. This is her creation. This is her creation. We are in the creation of the immature feminine energy. This is her creation, and she waits for love. She is waiting for true directions and true love. She is waiting for beings that can come here inside of her and emit true love, true direction, because she's immediately ready to respond if she hears true love. But it has to be true love, not human love or emotional love or no, it has to be not passion, not desire, not lust. It has to be true love, which is something that only the mature masculine energy can understand, perceive, and have access to. Only the mature masculine energy has access to that. And the mature masculine energy is the spirit, it's one and the same. It's the spirit. So only spirit has access to true love, and only the spirit, as it is embodied here in this body, that this body pertains to this creation that is done by the immature feminine energy, can anchor and bring true love and true vision into this place. And once she gets true love and true vision, she starts manifesting that love because she has always been there to manifest this true love. But in the lack of this true love, she became self-love. She turned true love into self-love, and she started like loving herself only and becoming destructive out of this, wanting to kill the entire world, everything, because she was lacking true love. So as this couple matures together, he is able to harbor more and more love through the knowledge it has. So he's able to put its knowledge pieces together. And as he understands, the immature masculine energy understands more and more, he's able to love more and more. And as he loves more and more, he's able to create more and more truer visions, loving visions. And as he is able to create loving visions, she is able to feel more and more loved, and she is able to start manifesting those visions. And through seeing those visions manifested, he is able to learn and acquire more knowledge, and more knowledge gives it more love. And so the cycle continues until they start to mature together. So she needs to start making a leap of faith and start listening to him. And he has to make a leap of faith and start loving her again, truly. They have to make a leap of faith because otherwise they remain stuck, both of them, in their own separation and fiasco. Him feeling unheard, unlistened, ineffective, stupid. He's actually feeling stupid because he feels that his vision and his intelligence is not actually put to use. And she feeling not loved, unworthy, incapable. So she starts over emphasizing how capable she is and how much deserving of love she is and how much attractive and beautiful and magnetic she is. She wants her love, he wants her listening power and her manifesting power. And they need to start giving this to one another in a sort of leap of faith type of way. She needs to start hearing and listening to him and taking directions and trusting that those directions are right. And she can trust him, that he knows what he has put in those directions. And she needs to start manifesting those directions. And he, on the other hand, needs to stop freaking obsessing about his perfect visions and remaining so stuck in his ideas and becoming like a block of ice where he put his ideas as an idol for his love, and he became enamored with his ideas more than with her. So he has to take down his own ideas from the pedestals of his own existence, and he has to put her back on that pedestal, and he has to love her more than his own ideas, because this is the purpose. If you don't love music more than your ability to coordinate music, then you're not able to be a perfect, masterful coordinator of an orchestra. The most masterful musical writers are the ones who are in love with music. Mozart, Beethoven, or these people were in love with music itself. This is how they could create music out only with their own mind, because they loved music. If you don't have love for music, then you will not be able to be a masterful musical writer. So the masculine has to be in love, truly in love with the feminine. Otherwise, how can he become the true director of life? The one who is able to make the female move and express herself in the ways that can start to create coherence in music and art out of life itself. So they need to take a leap of faith each in their own individual part. He has to re-find his love for her, but it has to be the true one. So he has to dig deep, deep, deep within until he's able to find that love, true love. And she's needing to start trusting him once again, to start trusting that he knows what he is doing once again, and that the visions that he is putting out are there, are perfect in a way, are the most perfect visions, and those visions that he's putting out are taking her into account, and they are catered, and they take like they are made with care towards her and her capacities to manifest. So she needs to trust him once again. Trust the visions that comes from him and start implementing those visions again. Manifesting those visions. She needs to trust again in his love for her. And he needs to love again her trust in him.